G'day, Hugh here from vrdesign.com.au, a design company based on the Gold Coast in Australia. Thank you for joining me. Today I thought we'd have a look at some HDR processing using On1 Photo RAW 2018, and we'll do this with some bracketed exposures, which you do in camera, and then you can load it up into On1 and create these beautiful HDR images using the software. So let's hop into On1 and see how it's done. Okay, so we have got On1 Photo RAW 2018 opened, and we're in the Browse section, and I've navigated to a folder on my computer which has bracketed images, which I've used in tutorial 14. So what we're going to do is use the program to combine those three exposures, the underexposed by 2 stops, the normal exposure, and the overexposed by 2 stops, and we're going to combine the three to create one high dynamic range image. So we start off by selecting all three. So we do that by selecting one and just holding the shift down and selecting the others. And that means all three are now selected, and we can come over here to HDR and click on that, and the program will combine the three images and the three different exposures into one. And there we have it. And as you can see here, -2, 0, and 2, +2. Now we can choose which of the three we would prefer to edit. I normally will go with the middle one, but if you were wanting to, for whatever reason, use one of the others, all you do is click on the circle beside, and this develop symbol will move across and come out of that circle and be in that circle there. Now we are in the Create HDR section of the software, which allows us to do certain adjustments before we get into the develop area. Now, if we have ghosting, we have some options here of getting rid of the ghosting. Well, there's not a lot to worry about in this photo. If the clouds were moving super fast, you might want to do it then, but we don't have people or vehicles or anything moving around the image, so there won't be any ghosting as such. But that allows us to remove the ghosting by choosing which threshold we would like to have. Okay, so we have the ability to change our look just by one click. Now there's the surreal look, and you can see it makes a few different changes in the settings. But we'll have a look at them rather than going through and choosing these. We'll just make it natural, and we'll do those adjustments ourselves. Align Open In allows the software to align the three images in either Develop, Effects, or in the browser. Okay, so what can we do? Well, we can do some of our basic develop adjustments in the Create HDR section. So we can bring down our highlights a bit and open up the shadows, bring down the whites and the blacks, create a bit more structure, and play around a little bit with the haze. Choose our color balance, work on our exposure, bring down the contrast perhaps, and we can also go into the HDR look. Now if we wanted to, we could really play around in here with this to create really stark looks to it. But that's really something that you can just play around with by clicking on the more. You get other options: surreal, subtle, natural, glow, and so on. Exaggerated edge tones, which is the different HDR looks that we can play around with. But it's good just to have a bit of play, just to see what the program offers. So when we're happy with our basic adjustments, we can click on Save, and in a little while the program will create the HDR image for you. Okay, so now that the program has gone through its adjustments, it has created this HDR image that we can work on. Now if I click off the preview, you can see that's what we were beginning with, and here we are now with our HDR image. And it gives us now the opportunity to use On1's editing tools and effects to further enhance the image. Now we've done a lot of this tone and color adjustments already in the HDR settings, but we can do further adjustments here if we would prefer to. And we can also do a little bit of work on the sharpening or the luminance, the noise reduction with our detail. We can do lens correction if we would like, and we can also come up into local adjustments to do some further brush work on it, like so. Or we could add a new layer, add some vibrance to selected areas that we'd like to make look a bit brighter, a bit more vibrant. The green there, yes, and we could come across to add another layer, come across to local. We could put in a gradient in the sky, which we could do some work on. So we could add a bit of drama to it, and add a bit of vibrance in there as well, which creates a nice look. A bit more of a blue feel. And we can also then look at adding another layer, and come back to our brush, and probably just darken, make sure this perfect brush is on still. Opacities, bring it up a bit to closer to 50. Just add a bit of drama into the sky, just to give us a bit of a darker look, but just focus on these clouds here rather than anywhere else in the image. It gives a bit of contrast, and we may just actually do that in the sky here as well, but just darken up around. You don't have to do this, but you might just be happy with the final image that the HDR section brought you, but you can do all sorts of non-destructive edits in this program, which is really handy to have. So if now we can preview, and we can say okay with that, but we can also just adjust the opacity of those adjustments to a level that we're quite happy with. And of course we can come into effects and have a look at different filters and presets if we were wanting to apply them. So we could come up to add filter, and maybe look at something like a vignette, and maybe put a big softy vignette on, which is nice, but just bring up the brightness on that. Feather down a little, but just bring the opacity down a degree so it's not too strong. Now, I think what we've got here is quite a dynamic now looking image compared to where we were to begin with. Now we can do infinite number of changes to this image. We could crop it, we could so we could look at doing a crop on it, maybe getting rid of some of this foreground. We'll need to come up here. No, we've got it on freeform, so yeah, this one down here, just bring it up and just move the image around accordingly to the sort of look we want. But yeah, it's really up. It's all in the eye of the beholder. So you can click apply and see our preview on and off. I think just zooming in a bit on the photo there has given us a bit of a better perspective, not so much down the front here. So that's basically the simple way of going through On1 to create a HDR image, and we can do a lot more. We can obviously really fine-tune this image, but we don't want this tutorials to go on for too long. It's more the steps to get to this point, and then from here it's up to you as to how you really want to develop this photo, or any photo that you have with bracketed images. So I hope you've enjoyed these simple steps to get to this point. Have fun doing it, and take those photos, get out there and get those bracketed shots going, and come into On1 and create your great looking HDR images. It's easy to do, it's good fun. Okay, until next time, I'll see you later.